Hello and welcome to the Wednesday, September 18th, 2024 JupyterLab front ends Jupyter front ends and accessibility meeting. I'm your host, Eric Gentry. So this is a place for all contributors to connect with each other and the community about JupyterLab, Jupyter Notebook, different front ends, and about accessibility. So a special welcome to anybody who's a first-time participant here. We want everyone to feel welcome. Please feel free to chime in on discussion or add your own agenda items if you'd like. There is a link to the agenda in the meeting chat, so I'll drop another link in there for anyone who's arrived late. So let's see. It does not look like we have anything on the agenda today. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about?
Um, Jupyter Scheduler will support Python 3.12 soon. So if it was stopping you from using Jupyter Scheduler, you can start using it soon. So just like an off-topic
Oh,
note,
and Jupyter Schedule what is Jupyter Schedule for people watching on YouTube?
Jupyter Scheduler is a JupyterLab extension that allows people to run notebooks, including a schedule. You need a server instance running, but other than that, yeah, you can like leave a computer or your cluster running with scheduled notebooks and they would run. So again, wrapping up API to support 3.12. Also, we are working in cooperation with Zach's team, with Apple or with Fruit Stand, how we call them here in Amazon, on workflows feature. So I'll talk about it when there would be anything to talk about it more.
Cool.
Oh, I sent a link into the chat. So yeah, thank you.
For
Yeah.
Jupyter Scheduler, has there been any discussion about adding queue-like functionality to it? Like if I wanted to run the same notebook 100 times with, 100 different sets of parameters.
Yep. Could you repeat it again?
Yeah, for Jupyter Scheduler jobs, is there an ability or has there been added an ability to run a queue of jobs for the same notebook rather than just saying like, I want to run this notebook with this parameters, giving it many different sets of parameters and
Yeah, I see.
running like
Your
that.
question. I don't think we have that now, and it makes sense as a feature potentially. Let me quickly search a queue keyword. Okay, yeah, and we have a issue.
I think I made that like a year ago or something like that when it first came out.
Yeah. Um, I'll be honest. I'm the only person developing this at the moment. We have a lot of features in the pipeline, so that's definitely something that would make sense to me. But yeah, I'm pretty busy until the end of the year with like the features in the pipeline.
Yeah.
That's definitely something that would make sense to me.
I mean, personally, that's why I don't use it. Like in my mind, the main reason you would want to parameterize a notebook is because you want to run, the same notebook with a lot of different sets of parameters.
This use case does make sense, and it's always good to get feedback. So thank you, really appreciate it.
Welcome.
Yeah, I'll keep it in the back of my mind. Like maybe I'll have time, or maybe I can't promise anything, but I do think it's a good feature to have. Would be a good feature to have. Yep. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. It looks like next up is Jeremy.
Yeah, I just added a smaller item on the agenda. about there will be a PyData Paris happening next week in Paris, France. So if some of you are there, I think it could be a good place to talk about Jupyter stuff. And I think there will be a couple of Jupyter related talks as well. So yeah, if you happen to be in Paris, it's on the Wednesday and Thursday, and on Friday there are the sprints also. So yeah, if you want to also work on the Jupyter projects there or PyData projects in general, then good place. Yeah, that's what I have. I think there's been otherwise some progress on the 4.3 issues. I don't know, maybe we should have a look after the call if there are some other items on the agenda to talk about first.
Yep. Thanks, Jeremy. Anybody have any other comments here? All right, it looks like Konstantin and Akshat, you're up next.
Yes, hi. I wanted to bring up attention to the PR for UX improvements in JupyterLab LaTeX, which is an extension for JupyterLab for rendering LaTeX documents with whatever compiler you have. I was hoping to show it in Binder, but it's not starting. I'm just gonna quickly show the.
Yeah, feel free to demo if you want from your local machine if you have it available.
Yeah, I'll need a minute, yeah, to recompile it. So maybe if there's time, I can come back to show
Sure.
what it is. Yeah, thank you.
Right, I think that's the end of the agenda items. Does anybody have anything else they want to talk about on the recording? William, do you have something?
No.
Okay, just checking. I think it was it Constantine? I think you were building your demo still?
Yeah, I think I'll need a couple more minutes. So if there is
Okay.
a spot somewhere towards later in the meeting, I can demo. If not, no big
Okay.
deal. I left a link there. So I'm trying to get. I know I'm. I don't have other active maintainers there.
Mhm.
Michael was helping to review some of PRs, but if I can request someone to look over the code, so I'm not just approving my own stuff. I don't like to do that. So if someone can request a review from themselves, that'll be great. Who have availability to do that?
Cool. Nick mentions in the chat, Nick has been working on some tooling improvements to make writing docs better, easier, nicer in the lab ecosystem. So he shared that with me in the docs working group meeting today, so that's good to hear. So I don't have anything else. I think we're through our agenda items. Nick, do you want to add anything, or does anybody else have any topics?
No, I'm good. I mean, in the broader docs thing, I can raise one of the frustrations I had as a downstream of we don't have Python API docs. Couple 9,000 lines of code, not counting tests, and 0 docs for what that code does. It's got to go read it.
Yeah.
So there's that.
Nico, what would be a good way to document it? Would you say like open API spec or something different?
Oh, that's a whole other ball of wax. Where would you put it? Where would you put the API spec? Anyhow, I mean, yeah, we should have that. We've got custom stuff. A lot of that comes from Jupyter Server, but not all of it, or JupyterLab server. So that's a multi-layered thing. But I specifically mean if I want to make a custom JupyterLab application, the custom entry point and all that kind of stuff, which we've gone out of our way to make sure that's possible. You got to just go read JupyterLab's code. So you know, oh, go for it. Go for demo. Demo is win.
All right. Let me share my screen here. Okay. Do you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the work that students did from Georgia Tech. There's a whole team of students 2 years ago, I believe. So now only getting around for merging their work. Basically, currently in the JupyterLab LaTeX extension, the only way to start doing something, the only sort of functionality, you have to right click and click Show LaTeX Preview, which will open the panel. But that was kind of not great. You have to use your mouse, I guess, and with a right click, and it's not sort of immediately obvious what to do. So they did some research here, and you can see in that PR, they went even did a small sort of user survey in Google Forms using NH Community. That's where I work, and so we connected them with some users. And they give some feedback, like what they would want to see. So based on that, they created a project to create this UX. So you can click a preview button that will do the same thing as a show preview button. And then there's some stuff to simplify your LaTeX typing because it's pretty verbose for some people, especially if you're new. So you can do things like x squared, and you can highlight the 2 and click superscript that will create superscript and so on. And there are table functionality, and there are some attempts to create a graph. So for the table one, you would give it the number of rows and columns, and that will create sort of the initial template with some dummy cell names. Yeah, so maybe document is not. Oh yeah, that formula is just not in the formula format. So yep, here's that table should appear somewhere. Live demo. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
gotta
look.
check. Oh, here it is. Here it is.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
Thanks for working.
So
Thanks for demoing.
yeah, well, it's mostly 90% students work, and then Akshat, who works the same company with me, I task him with sort of making this ready to merge and test. So if someone can take a look, leave some comments, we would appreciate feedback and code review. Thank you so much.
Does the preview? Is it possible to? And nice work. Is it possible to get that preview tab from a keyboard shortcut?
That's what I would love to have.
Well,
So let me
it doesn't
check.
even have
Yeah.
to be a shortcut like Control Shift P. LXP might work. Is it registered as a command? I mean, it's probably
Shift
registered as a
P.
command.
Let's see.
Or sorry, that's print in the browser. Control Shift C for the command palette.
C. Oh yeah, Command Shift C on Mac. Okay, and then I would type something like preview.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they implemented that, so that's a good suggestion to have. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And generally, like, what is the most accessible way to do something in JupyterLab when you do an extension? Because I imagine sometimes people cannot move the mouse, right? Only have keyboard.
Right. Yeah. And there's just a lot of issues in general with like. Well, let's start with the worst place for it is the context menu. That is the least discoverable place.
That's
right?
where it was. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. The keyboard shortcuts are good. It's also possible when you register. I think it's possible independent of that to use the command palette, not the command. Okay, so the command registry is hanging off the application. You can't get rid of it, can't change it. There's nothing to do for it. It's not a plugin. That's fine. So you register your command there. Probably that's already happened because you have that button and it works.
Yeah.
And you have that context menu and it works. But if you add stuff to the command palette, which is a separate importable, you can tell it a DOM selector that it should register on. So presuming that there is a, like to the good point, I don't think the Markdown preview. I think that was lost from Markdown. But anyhow, you'd be able to say if I'm in a document that has data language LaTeX, then it should be able to present that as a thing and get the right active element and all that kind of stuff.
So keyboard shortcut and command palette, right?
Well, the keyboard shortcut's a whole other thing. I feel like there's enough places where there's preview-like things. Markdown preview, HTML has a preview, I think. Stuff like that. That we should normalize on. If I press a button, I will get a preview of whatever the hell it is that I'm looking at right now. I don't think that there is any convention for that at this time. So that's a thing probably worth like synchronizing, because you wouldn't want to use a different, unless you're an Emacs user, you don't want to type like 7 commands to get something that's effectively the same thing as show me a preview. Show me the best preview you got. But anyhow, from an accessibility point of view, I still maintain that the most accessible thing is the non-modal, which is now not the default command palette. That's not in a dialogue, because then it's a sidebar item. You open up the sidebar, it's got a search implementation there, but you can also use Control F just in your browser, which is better than our search because it looks in the UI and not in the content. So if you're trying to figure out how to use things, who cares what's in your document? I want the text of the UI. And all those are internationalized, the ones we ship by default. So yeah, I mean, the answer is yes. Different people like things in different ways. Having stuff in the mile high menu is good. So it's absolutely possible to have a LaTeX menu that only appears when you are editing or previewing a LaTeX document. So
that's what this is. Yeah.
It has a mile high menu? It's got one at the top of the screen?
Oh, wait. Let's wait a second.
Because people have been trained for the last 40 years now that there's good stuff in menus. Yeah, there is a LaTeX menu. Great.
Yeah.
So
you just never have a preview.
But it's not in there. Yeah, yeah. So getting in there is good. On your preview, you probably want a refresh preview button. There's just lots of, there's lots of little things around that. I mean, like the Markdown one, if you stop typing for 300 milliseconds, it's going to try and re-render. That's not feasible on many LaTeX documents. But having a button that says this is out of date, please re-render, render, that would be good. Because if people have been using Overleaf or whatever, they're used to it just like working.
Yeah, I'm looking at Overleaf and seeing like how many steps it will take to get there, but very many. That'd be cool though.
Well, and I wouldn't fully evaluate anything at this level without also including the LaTeX language server.
All right.
That's a first-party one. It is not easy to install, but neither is LaTeX. Tectonic's better. So I think if we were imagining a distribution of JupyterLab for, I need to author a PhD level dissertation, you'd ship this for sure, but then you'd also ship CheckTech, and you'd also ship the LaTeX LSP. We don't need to be able to do everything in core. And this, to do most, it's really just a preview that needs a LaTeX engine, right? Like you can still just like type stuff. So it'd be it would not be suitable to make JupyterLab LSP and a LaTeX LSP a dependency of that, but you'd probably want to guide people to that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I'll include that in Binder as well.
I mean, don't worry too much about your binder demo doing anything these days, brother. I mean,
It started though. Look, it started.
Good. That's good. That's very good.
Good day.
Yeah. Nice. Oh, that's cool. You got collaborative on?
Sorry, what?
Do you have collaborative editing on?
No, probably no. I don't. No, I should have. I think there's a.
There you go.
I can drop it.
Let's
in the
get
chat.
dirty. Let's get dirty.
Man, the Zoom made itself a small window.
Uh-oh.
How to get back. Sorry. Chat. Here's chat.
I dropped some information. There's sample code on the extension tutorial, the Jupyter extension tutorial about adding commands to the command palette, if that's helpful at all. So there's some information in the chat there about that.
Yeah, we should look over this. Yeah.
Does command palette have a schema? That would be rad. We should.
Yeah, and you also mentioned Tectonic. So Akshat is currently working on enabling, at least make it simpler to use Tectonic and other engines. And we want to document, last meeting we brought up the issue, like to document at least most of the popular tech distributions, so you know where to start with if you use one of them. So that should be a good addition as well in the coming weeks.
Yeah, Tectonic's really good. The Magic Package Manager downloading packages at runtime is weird, but it works so good that I can't really be angry at it. Yeah.
And it is distributed through Conda, which I don't know if that helps Binder at all, or helps
I'd
people at
probably
all.
package it. I'm not arguing there, but like,
yeah,
solutions that only work through Conda are solutions that only work for Conda, and I'm not going to say any more about that right now. With the caveat that I maintain most of the Jupyter stack on Conda for it, right? Like, I'm not dissing on Conda. And it would not be possible for us to test Jupyter LSP without Conda. So it would just be crazy. It would be insane. Like you go to your standard package managers, to run NB-convert, you need to like backfill a bunch of stuff to get the right packages from, CTAN. Like, it's annoying. No, that's really, I mean, anything that makes this experience more useful is good, for sure.
sounds good. Thanks for feedback. All right.
Thanks, Constantine. It looks like Lane is next.
Oh, I just wanted to put something down for the record. I saw that there was a release related to the timeline functionality in JupyterLab, wherein you could drag this little, timeline, and it could, like restore a previous state of the document. But the reason why this caught my interest was that when we ran this survey a couple of years ago, no track changes. I can't figure out what changed between notebooks was like the #1 thing that people cared about. So yeah, I just wanted to kind of see if there was some discussion we could have about that. I saw Krasowski pronunciation was talking about it on LinkedIn. That's all. So maybe I'll just show up next week.
So normally this is available in the latest beta of Jupyter Collaboration. I was looking to check if there was a binder available with this new version. but since it was released, let me check. Yeah, yesterday. Yeah, there might not be one yet, but we could wait for a binder to be up with that version and even try it out like now if you would like to. Or you can
Oh,
also try it locally by installing the pre-release of Jupyter Collaboration. I think it's beta 4, but now there's also beta 5 that was released today. Yeah.
oh, awesome. Yeah, I tried installing last week from pip, the latest alpha, beta, whatever. So good to know. I'll have to kick the tires on it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I think the plan was to release this version 3 of Jupyter Collaboration quite soon. So I think in the coming days, I don't think there are many blockers. Maybe there is one PR I think left to be included in the next release. But that would be good if you could try it, or if more people could try this new slider and maybe open issues if there are any. Yeah.
Is the plan in the long term to keep the collaboration extension separate for like security reasons, or do you see a 5.0 where it lives as part of core?
Yeah, that's a little bit of a tough question because I think it was considered for the JupyterLab 4 release maybe a year ago already. But at the time there were still some issues with data loss when RTC was enabled, especially on large deployments. And I think that was one of the major blockers because as a user, it would be very frustrating to lose your work, which should not happen at any time on a base install. And to make it easier to iterate on Jupyter Collaboration, it was then moved to a separate extension, so it could be it released independently from JupyterLab more often, and then adding new features like this one it's a bit easier than having to wait for it to be part of core. But I guess like I don't know how much time it would take, but for this to stabilize, especially with respect to the data loss issues. But it could be reconsidered maybe in the future to be part of JupyterLab core. Not clear yet. I think there are pros and cons.
Thank you for the context.
Andrew was asking in the chat if there's any references or docs you could look at for using a shared YJS doc on the back end in conjunction with SQL storage.
It's like to essentially the reason to do it is to like support collaboration really well. And I just don't really understand, like, we currently have a SQL database, right? And we kind of like, for example, if we would have a workflow, the workflow record would have a reference to like all the task records by ID, right? Because it's a SQL database, because it's tables. But what ideally I would like to have is some kind of like a doc representation that has not like IDs of the tasks, but full objects, right? Inside the doc. And I would like multiple people to be able to collaborate on it. But now I kind of, just on the conceptual level, I don't understand, would this doc replace a database? Would it work in conjunction with the database? Yeah, I would love any advice here. I can kind of see how it could work with GraphQL, right? With the document-based databases. Pretty simple. But with just YJS and our usual Jupyter technologies, not really. If you have any advice or like reference for me, I would love to look into it. Well, okay, that's fair. Maybe I should try to go to the collaboration call, asking the same question. Well, thank you.
Yeah, well, I think you could maybe try to look into the Jupyter YDoc package, which provides some data structures for working with some documents, and maybe that's a good place to start. And that is, yeah, and that is not Jupyter collaboration. That is the one under the Jupyter server org, the Jupyter White Doc.
It is the one, right? Or yeah, okay, I see. Thank you. Yeah, I'll give it a look. Thank you.
All right, that's our last agenda item. Does anybody have anything else they want to discuss on the record before we stop the recording? All right, we'll jump to the off the record portion. Thanks, everybody.